It's Monday afternoon and we're ready for Monday Night Football. Thought I'd come back to you with a little recap of Sunday night games, Sunday football with Sundeep, tell you a little bit about Sunday games and my picks for tonight. First up, we'll talk a little bit about the Colts and Titans. I don't know if you guys got to catch this game. It's a pretty good game. It was entertaining. Titans led for most of the second half. The Colts came back and Mariota almost came back to tie the game, but the Titans for some reason went for a 2-point conversion with a rush rather than a pass. Ended up failing. Colts won the game. I was pretty happy because they covered the spread. But the Titans look pretty solid. I think the Colts still have a lot to fix. Going back to the spread, I just want to talk about how I did for Sunday games. I don't know if anybody keeps up with my picks. I actually did surprisingly well. I picked 8 games and I actually won 6 of those games, going 6-2 on my spreads. I actually picked 2 other games personally and picked the Texans and the Eagles as well, who also covered. I actually ended up covering a 4-point parlay. For those of y'all who bet and don't, for those of y'all bet know what a parlay is. For those who don't, a parlay is basically when you combine bets, it gives you a higher win result, basically more money based on the amount of picks you make. I picked 4 teams and all covered, and it did pretty well for me. Going back to the recaps, Falcons and Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys didn't overcome the loss of Romo. The Falcons pretty much kept control of this game, though it did look like that they would actually fall behind. At 2 points in the game, the Cowboys had a 2-touchdown lead. But if you really watched the game, it looked like the Falcons were pretty much controlling the second half. Julio Jones is a beast. I don't know if you guys got to watch that as well. He had a couple of touchdowns. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL right now until somebody else proves me wrong. Going to the Patriots versus the Jaguars. The Patriots demolished the Jags, enough said. Eagles versus the Jets. As expected, the Jets didn't come to play. I thought this would happen, and I mentioned this in my other video. Eagles had a good rush, and they won the game. They still got a lot to fix, though. I don't think that they're out of the woods, but they did win this game. It was a nice victory for them. Steelers versus the Rams. This was a bittersweet game for the Steelers. They won the game, but they lost Ben Roethlisberger with a knee injury. Looks like he did not tear his ACL, but he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. This is a big loss. I'm not sure if the Steelers can overcome this. They're going to try to lean on Le'Veon Bell to overcome this loss, but I don't think that they will be able to just rely on the running back. Their backup quarterback with Michael Vick, I don't think will be able to carry the team. Big Ben is out for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see how he does. Vikings beat the Chargers, and as expected, I thought this would happen. The Vikings relied on Adrian Peterson. He ran the ball very well. He looks strong. Ravens versus Bengals. I didn't bet on this game, but the Bengals won on a couple late touchdowns. They're in a pretty good spot in their conference right now with the Steelers losing Big Ben. I think that they may be a playoff contender. I know it's early to say that, but they have a pretty good lead in their conference. Going to conference play, Panthers versus the Saints. I actually went to this game yesterday. It was a pretty good game in the rain. Got good tickets. We were in the club section. Pretty affordable. It was a big loss for the Saints. They've lost 3 games now and actually are 3 games behind their 2 divisional opponents, the Falcons and the Panthers. This is a pretty big deal. I don't think that they'll overcome this. Pretty much would be my prediction that they're out of the playoffs. I could be wrong, but you got 2 teams ahead of you, 3-game lead on you. It's going to be tough for them to come back. Of note, the Panthers looked very well. I think they still got a lot to do. They played some okay teams. They're going to have to work on a little bit more this season. Olsen is a big part of their offense. He carried the team. He's a beast. And Newton actually played pretty well. I don't know if you guys had it for fantasy. He had 315 yards in the air with 2 touchdowns and about 33 yards on the ground with a touchdown as well. So he had some monster fantasy points. Texans versus the Bucks. Texans ended up winning their first game. It was basically on Alfred Blue's back. Big Blue ran, scored a touchdown, and actually had over 100 rushing yards. Helped them get their first win. Cardinals versus 49ers. I'm not going to talk much about this. I'm sorry, 49ers fans. 47-7. You guys did really bad. Step it up. There's no excuse for that in the NFL. Seahawks versus the Bears. This game was also ugly as predicted. Seahawks basically demolished the Bears. I got to catch replays of this. They owned the Bears pretty much all afternoon. This was expected. It was their first home game. They've been fiending for a win. Jimmy Graham finally got his first touchdown, so for those of you who own him in fantasy, congratulations. It's finally paying off a little bit. Bills versus Dolphins. They did exactly what I expected. The Bills demolished the Dolphins. The game could have actually been worse. I don't know if any of y'all watched this again, but it was a pretty good game for the Bills, not for the Dolphins. But overall, the Bills are playing good football, clean football, and they're a strong team. That game against the Patriots, I think, is a fluke. I still consider them one of the top teams in the AFC. Broncos and Lions. I predicted the Broncos would win and cover the spread. They did. I didn't get to watch the game. I fell asleep. It was too much football for me yesterday, going to see a game and watching all the other recaps. I got a little tired. I did some research this morning on the game. I did like it. I think that the Broncos did pretty well. They beat the Lions pretty solidly. Going on to Monday Night Football, which is here what we're going to be talking about. I think the Packers are going to be facing the Chiefs. This is an interesting matchup as the Chiefs traditionally have had the Packers' numbers every time they've gone to the Lambeau Field recently, especially in the last 7 meetings or so. I do think that this will be different than the previous games. Aaron Rodgers looks on point, especially at home. I think that the Packers will come out with a win. The spread right now is actually minus 5.5 for the Packers and is actually trending downwards, and I think that's because people are taking the Chiefs. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. It's a large spread, but my bet's on the Packers to cover. I think it should be a 27-14 game, 27-17 type game, I predict. I don't predict it to go over the posted spread of 48 points. I think it'll stay under, but I'm not going to bet that. I'm betting on the fact that the Packers should win this and should win by a touchdown. Those are my picks for the week. I hope that you guys are watching this and paying attention. For those of you who do bet a little bit on football, I've done pretty well, and if you've been using my picks, you'd be in the money. Please share this video with your friends. I'll have another video with my picks for you again on next week. Hope you guys have a great week. Go Packers. They're going to win tonight.